So way off the southern coast of Japan, about 25 meters under the surface of the Pacific Ocean, there's this mystery that has been bugging scientists for almost 40 years now. It's a massive stone structure that, really, depending on who you talk to, is either this incredible geological coincidence or it's the last piece of a civilization that was literally swallowed by the sea. So, what is it? Let's dive in and find out. Okay, so picture this. It's 1986. A local dive tour operator, a guy named Kihachiro Aratake, he's out looking for new spots for his clients. He's hoping to find some hammerhead sharks, right? But what he stumbles upon is just way more shocking. It's this enormous monolith with these flat terraces, perfectly vertical walls, and what sure looks like a staircase, stretching 150 meters across the seabed. And right away, this discovery brings up the huge question we're going to dig into today. Can nature, all by itself, carve something that looks so, well, so deliberate? Or are we actually looking at the work of human hands from a time way, way before we started writing history down?
To even begin to answer that, we've got to understand what is actually down there. So let's take a quick virtual dive, a little tour of the site, feature by feature. You got to get a sense of the scale and just how strange this thing really is. So the whole site is really dominated by what they call the main terrace. And this thing is about the size of a football field. It's got these descending terrace steps, each one about a meter high. And then you get these even weirder, more distinct features. There's a triangular hole they call the triangle pool, a totally separate star-shaped platform, and this whole network of perfectly straight channels just cut right into the rock. I mean, you look at all those features together, and it's easy to see how the first major theory came about. That this is not some random act of nature, this is the ruins of an intelligently designed man-made structure. This is the case for a lost city. The main champion of this theory is Masaaki Kimura. He's a respected marine geologist from the University of the Ryukyus, and this has become his life's work. He spent over 30 years and done more than 100 dives at the site, and he became absolutely convinced that nature could not have built this on its own. Kimura's whole argument really comes down to a collection of specific clues. He points to corners that measure almost perfectly at 90 degrees. He sees those straight channels and thinks those look like drainage. He's found isolated stones that look for all the world like they were quarried and just left behind. And he's even identified two massive megaliths that look like they were deliberately stood upright on the main terrace. Now here's where it gets really wild. Kimura has proposed a timeline that is just stunning. He believes this structure was built on dry land as far back as 10,000 BC. That's before the end of the last ice age, when sea levels were way lower. He even connects it to Japan's prehistoric Jomon culture, a super sophisticated society of hunter-gatherers who made some of the world's first pottery and were definitely capable of complex projects, long before the pyramids were even a blueprint. But there is a really powerful and, very persuasive counter-argument. And that's the idea that geology can be a master illusionist. It can create forms that trick our brains into seeing something artificial. This is the case for a completely natural formation. Enter geologist Robert Schoch from Boston University. He dove the site back in 1997, and he came to the exact opposite conclusion. He argued that the very features that look so man-made, those flat planes, the right angles, are actually the known, totally predictable result of this specific kind of rock just breaking apart. Okay, so the whole geological argument hinges on the rock itself. It's made of something called Miocene Yayama group sandstone. It formed in these really distinct layers millions of years ago. So when tectonic forces put stress on this kind of rock, it doesn't just crumble. Nope, it fractures cleanly along those natural planes, and that creates the very steps and right-angle corners that look so artificial. It's like it was designed to break that way. And this isn't some totally unique thing, right? We see similar geometric patterns in nature all over the world. You look at formations like the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland, that's 100% natural, yet it has this unbelievable geometric order that just screams man-made. So it turns out nature is a pretty darn good architect. Schoch's case is also built on what's missing. I mean, if this were a construction site, where are all the stone chips? Where is the debris from quarrying? Where are the confirmed tool marks? And maybe most importantly, he points out that you can find very similar-looking geometric rock formations right there on the coast of Yonaguni Island, above the water, that nobody claims are man-made. The whole debate over this one single monument, It kind of forces us to zoom out and think about a much bigger, much more profound mystery that really affects the whole planet and our entire understanding of ancient history. So, at the peak of the last ice age, maybe 20,000 years ago, there was so much water locked up in glaciers that global sea levels were 120 meters lower than they are today. That's that's like a 40-story building. It means the coastlines of our world looked completely different. And here is the really mind-bending part. We know that for basically all of human history, people have loved living near the coast. It just makes sense. But that means the vast majority of their settlements from the Ice Age, their camps, their villages, maybe even their cities are now completely underwater. The story of who we were is just sitting at the bottom of the ocean. So when we argue about places like Yonaguni, we're not just talking about one monument. We are literally searching for a lost chapter of our own history in the least explored part of our own planet. Get this, a staggering 75% of the ocean floor is still unmapped in high resolution. We're pretty much searching in the dark. Which brings us right back to the present. So after 4 decades of arguing back and forth, where do things stand? Well, the truth is, the monument is still holding on to its secrets. So let's just break it down one last time. The case for it being man-made really hangs on the sheer combination of so many complex features all in one spot. It just seems too unlikely to be a coincidence. The case for nature, well, that rests on the rock's known properties and the simple facts that there's no smoking gun, no conclusive evidence of construction. Honestly, both sides make a really compelling argument. Now, if you polled most geologists today, the consensus would probably lean toward it being a natural formation. The burden of proof for an extraordinary claim like a 10,000-year-old city is, incredibly high. But leans toward is not the same thing as a final verdict. The site has not been exhaustively investigated, and this debate is very far from over. And so, here we are, right back where we started, floating 25 meters underwater, staring at something that just defies any easy explanation. Is it just an extraordinary geological coincidence, a trick of light and rock? Or is it a silent testament to a forgotten chapter of our own history, just waiting for us to finally figure out how to read its story? For now, the verdict is really up to you.